Good afternoon, guys. Just working, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. Bitcoin yesterday, we said we are sitting right here at about 6,300 or thereabouts, I think, when we spoke yesterday. And I told you guys Bitcoin had come up. It had tested this 618 fib level of our prior high. Remember, the prior high from the prior bull run was about $10,000. So swing high, swing low. We could see that the fib ended up being right around 83.70. Price had come up, had tested it, was sitting just below 83.70. I said, excuse me. I said if price comes back up and ends up breaking the 618 or the 65, the golden zone between the 618 and the 65, then more than likely we're going to come up into this zone between 8700 and 8800. That did not happen. However, it did create a little bit of a bull trap. As if we zoom in here, we can see price did break through, just tested up about 8500 or thereabouts, created a double tap, and of course, and as so many times, as so often happens, trapped people high, and then ended up getting rejected. And this is looking like the start of the correction that we've kind of been waiting for. I'm not sure that it is yet, but it certainly is starting to look that way, guys. So to the downside, if I pull up my volume profile here, guys, you can kind of see it even a little bit better here. Pull up my volume profile, you can see that there's a nice little zone right in this area, guys, where a lot of people are trading between about 8,300 and 8,000. Right in this zone here. And I believe if price ends up just hanging out here, we're more than likely going to move sideways. If price ends up breaking below 8,000, then I think there's a very high probability we're going to come down here and test the top of this prior resistance, which should now be acting as support, right around 8,700 or somewhere thereabouts. So if it does break 83, I'm going to start looking at about 80 or 7,800 to 7,900, somewhere thereabouts. And I've got buy orders stacked in here at 7,800, expecting it to bounce down in that zone right off the top of, again, what should act as support. Excuse me one second, guys. To the upside, we've got to get north of, again, this golden pocket. So between the 618 and the 65, that's going to be somewhere north of 8,500. If we can get north of 8,500 decisively, by decisively I mean if we can get the daily candle to open and close above 8,500, certainly to close, that'll be a start. If we can then get it to open and close on one more day, 24-hour period, I'm going to start getting extremely bullish. The reason is, as I've been telling you guys, I've been hammering in your heads, if we can get above this 618 to 65 fib, above that, which is about 8,500. Now algos are going to start picking targets up here, and that's going to just change the whole dynamic of the market. And at that point, we have the potential to start a snowballing bull run that that'll make this look like nothing. But until that happens, guys, and as long as we remain south of that golden pocket, south of 8,500, guys, then I think we're going to continue down. At least continue to correct. And this is a healthy correction so far, guys. This is a much needed correction. It could not continue. As I said yesterday, eventually TA is going to take over, and eventually that we're going to correct. So the question is, how far are we going to correct? Is the top in yet? Well, if we zoom in here to the 4-hour chart and we say, okay, we know that we have, as I've showed you guys before, we know that we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and is this the top of our wave 5, or do we have another one more push up? Well, in my opinion, I believe that we've looked at the top. The reason is, if I zoom in here to the 1 hour, first of all, we can, this is the first time we've seen any kind of a correction like this since $6,000. We go down here, looking at price down here from 6,000. We haven't seen much of a rejection like this since then. We had a little bit right in this zone here, just kind of slightly. It kind of came down very sharply, and then quickly was rejected right back up. This is looking more like a healthy ABC correction to me. Now, but the real test is, can we get 5 subwaves within our larger wave 5? So this being our larger wave 5, this being the bottom of wave 4, can I get 5 subwaves? Well, this is a clear 1-2. The reason I say that's a clear 1-2 is, other than the way it looks, obviously, if I test here, pull our fib from the bottom of wave 1 to the top of wave 1, come down here, we can see wave 2 tapped perfectly off of the 618, and then started impulsing up as any wave 3 would. Remember, this would be sub-wave 3 of the larger wave 5, impulsed up, came up here, topped out about 83.60, somewhere thereabouts, had a rejection, came back down, came back up. This looks like a shortened 5th wave to me. So it looks to me like we certainly do have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and now we're starting our correction. Now, I could be wrong. This could be a wave 4. We could be looking at 1, 2, all this is 3, 4, and looking for a sub-wave 5 to complete the larger wave 5. That's certainly possible if that does happen, and if we do break above 8,500, at that point I'll be looking at a target somewhere around 8,880, somewhere at the top of this zone, right in here, somewhere at the top, somewhere between, so I call it 8,800, somewhere thereabouts. But I'm not seeing that now. My primary is certainly not that. So let me zoom back out here to the 4-hour. Coming back out here to the 4-hour, guys, what am I looking at for targets down below? If we do end up breaking down, let me get rid of this as well. Stand by 1 second, guys. Okay, all right, assuming that this is the top of our wave 5, and so we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Remember, guys, we're going to pull our fib and see where we can see a possible, or we can expect a possible retracement. And when you do this, remember, guys, you're not pulling a fib from the 5th wave. I know a lot of people make this mistake. A lot of people think, okay, the top of wave 5 is in, so we'll go from the bottom of wave 5 to the top of wave 5 and see where we can find a retracement. That is incorrect. And once you've got your 5 waves in, you got to take this entire structure. So from the bottom of wave 1 to the top of wave 5, and that's where you're looking for your correction. And we know that probability tells us that more than likely it's going to fall somewhere into this zone between the 382 and the 618 fib level. Somewhere in this area is where we're looking for a correction. Now, in an extremely bullish market, it might end up somewhere around 80, around the 236. Now, that's a very low probability, very bullish market, but there it is nonetheless. It still could happen. And in this market, anything could happen, especially with FOMO. I mean, FOMO brought this thing all the way up from 5,800 up to, in no time, almost 85 before it started correcting, guys. So FOMO is very, very real. However, let's start looking at this from an objective point of view. We can see, okay, probably it's going to go below the 236. Usually it does. If that ends up happening, below that, where are our support zones? Well, we know 7,800 should act as a strong support. It was definitely a strong resistance getting at the top of this zone, so I would expect it to act as a strong support. I've got a couple buy orders sitting right in here at 7,800, expecting a bounce, at least for our A wave, or at least come down A. I may play that B. Excuse me, guys. I get some in my throat here. But certainly I'm expecting a bounce somewhere around the 7,800 with a very, very tight stop. Below that, there's a little bit of a demand zone sitting right or in this area right here between about 73 and 7,400. So I would expect a little bit of a bounce here. More than likely, I'm not going to play that. However, it wouldn't be a bad idea. If you've got a very tight stop and if you're feeling ambitious, go for it. That's not financial advice. Again, just my personal opinion. Below that, though, guys, and where I'm going to start to get extremely excited is down here. We can see that with this 618, the golden ratio just happens to overlap perfectly with the top of this neckline on our inverse head and shoulders. I mean, perfectly, almost to the dollar. If price ends up breaking down this low, and I'm not saying that it will, in fact, in my opinion, I think that more than likely price is not going to go below about 7,400, somewhere thereabouts, just based on the bullish momentum. I could be wrong, but if price does end up breaking down this low, I'm certainly going to have a lot of buy orders sitting right in here, about 6,800 or thereabouts, guys. That's going to be a very strong buy zone. Below that, if it does end up breaking below that, below 6,700, then I'm going to start to get concerned that this whole thing was just manipulation and a farce. However, I don't think that's going to happen, guys. So, excuse me, guys. Let me get a drink of water. Okay, guys, back with you. All right, looking at our indicators, we're back out here on the daily chart. We can see RSI has dipped back down into just below 70. Still an extremely bullish zone, but still almost overbought. We can see the stock RSI is in desperate need. The daily is in desperate need of a reset. It's just been sitting up here at almost 100% for the last few days. Well, almost for the last week. My gosh, that came actually the last few days. What am I saying? The last few days it's been sitting here oversold, so it's screaming for a correction. We can see the MACD is still continuing to trend up, getting stretched. Also, is also suggesting a possible correction is coming. If we zoom in here to the 4-hour, we can see RSI sitting somewhere about 61 thereabouts, still looking rather bullish. We are seeing the stock RSI starting to reach oversold levels, telling that we may possibly have one more kick up. I mean, that would suggest possibly one more kick up to test the 8,500 top again, only to get rejected right back down. Possible looking at well, if we come back in here to the daily, get rid of our indicators, if my chart will let me do it. There we go. Possibly creating what could be an A, B, C. So that's possible. Looking at our 4-hour MACD, we can see that the MACD line started to cross over the signal line, also suggesting that it's heading over into bearish territory, suggesting that we are looking for a correction here in the short term. All right, looking at our daily chart, their moving averages, we can see their Bollinger Bands, our prices extended, just moved back inside the Bollinger Bands, the upper portion of the Bollinger Bands. So again, suggesting that we are needing a correction here to reset these. Looking at our moving averages, our EMAs, 21-day EMA did move above the 55-day EMA. I was telling you guys about that yesterday. That's a bullish indication that that the 21-day is above the 55. So we have that bullish setup of the 8-day EMA on top, 21-day in the middle, 55 on the bottom. That is a bullish setup. We can see prices approaching the 200-day moving average, also a very bullish indication, guys. So things are looking good. We just need a nice, healthy correction. If we come over here and we look at longs, I find this extremely interesting, guys. This is the longs, and we can see that longs just have dropped off. So everybody is expecting more than likely that at least they're in the short term, Bitcoin is going to take a breather and possibly drop. But I find it interesting though, if I compare it to shorts, shorts have also dropped here in the short term, and they aren't starting to stack at all, which tells me that people are just wondering what the hell's going on in the market and are not sure what quite to expect, because Bitcoin is just kind of shocked them so much. We all know that there's been a correction coming. It's just a matter of this is going if this is going to be it, and how far will it correct? And people are just, the market is just not sure at this point. Everyone's taking a breather and waiting to see what happens, and all we can do is react to the market, guys. So again, right now this is a no trade zone for me. If price breaks below that 618 fib, so above the 8,500, then I'm going to start to get bullish. I may enter a quick long position targeting about the top of this supply zone up here, so about 8880 to the downside. If price does end up breaking down, I'm looking to buy at about 7,800 with a very tight stop loss. If that ends up breaking and I get stopped out, excuse me, you may want to consider buying at about 7,400 or thereabouts. But the absolute must-buy zone, in my opinion, again, not financial advice, is down here at the 618 fib level at about 6,800. Now, as I said, I'm a bull at heart. I hope it doesn't get that low, but if it does, that's absolutely where I'll be entering some buys. So these are my quick thoughts on Bitcoin, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, please trade safe. Have a wonderful week. This is Working, signing out.